checks caffeine.
World premiere.
What is up, Lobotomous gang? It's the guy. You know, well, if you're new to the channel, then you don't know me. But I know you. See you tonight. What is one thing that we all know, and I'm sure you agreed as well, is that Xbox has been nothing but a couch cushion for Sony to sit on in the past few years, right? They've been on a rough patch lately. That's what I'm saying. If you've been keeping up with the gaming landscape, they have not released anything, game-worthy in the past few years, as opposed to Sony, who gets their ass polished by crazed fanboys anytime they release something, even though those products are movies disguised as games more than anything. So together, let's go through the list of games that they showed this year, and I will talk about some notable ones that I do believe will have an effect on Xbox moving into the future, right? After all, what better way to form your opinion than to listen to some random dude on the internet talk about his references, right? I mean, the internet is a wasteland nowadays if you think about it. When somebody like Jack Doherty and his girlfriend can become influencers, it's a wild west out there, right? Might as well listen to me.
And please enjoy the show. World premiere.
Right off the bat, this is one of the most notable titles that they showed this year. Look at this footage, the graphical fidelity is still on point. I do enjoy the Dark Ages medieval aesthetic that they have going on here, but there's one thing that I hope is that the game doesn't turn into brown puddle water graphics. The early 2000 FPS, military FPS graphics, that looks boring and drab that every game wants to look like for some reason. And the gameplay here seems slower, which is better. Why is it better, you ask? I'll go into details about it later, right? Now looking at this footage here, I can see that one addition that will drastically improve the gameplay, that is the shield. Not only is it an aesthetic choice because, Dark Ages, shield, right, medieval stuff, very, very cool, and it has a chainsaw on it, but it also changes the gameplay itself. The hit scan enemies, right? So it's a perfect way to get rid of the hit scan enemies without hiding behind the cover like a hoe. Furthermore, if you look at this footage, you also see the Doomslayer blocks attacks with his shield and parries them, right? So this in turn increases the pace of the gameplay without speeding up the animations or speeding up the enemies or throw a bunch of insane stuff at you like in Doom Eternal. The shield can also be used to kill a huge number of small enemies as well. So here I think we have a risk and reward system going on, right? So you can essentially sacrifice the protection of the shield by using it to kill a bunch of enemies and forego the protection, or you can use it to protect yourself, but you have to deal with the huge number of enemies around you, which is very intriguing if you think about it, right? So now let's get back into why I think this could potentially be one of the greatest games, right? This, when it comes out in 2025. Because let's look at the impact of Doom Eternal. Maybe it's because that I have the reflexes of a retirement home wheelchair. But the crackhead twitchy gameplay of Doom Eternal got exhausting really fast. And whether we like it or not, we have to admit that game was not for everyone. Realistically, the game splits the fan base in half. On one side, we have a bunch of people who injects caffeine into their blood veins and bump a bunch of lines before playing the game. And those people can enjoy the frantic pace of Doom Eternal, right? The mental assault that was that game. Those people loved it, right? They ate it right up. And those people will defend it to their death, right? Let's look at like Under the Mayo, man will go to the hell on earth to defend the game, right? From any criticism whatsoever. And on the other side, we have normal people. We have functioning members of society who just want to turn off their brain and enjoy the game. And admittedly, that can sometimes be a problem because, after a long 8-10 hour days of work, you just want to kick back and play some video games, and now you are forced to sweat hard. So Doom the Dark Ages here is a perfect vehicle for its software to regain the fan base that it lost, right? And personally, I think it's going in the right direction because, not everybody's a crackhead. Another thing to note is that I appreciate that they added new weapons into this game. Whether you like it or not, Doom Eternal was essentially, the original Doom remade, right? And now that's out of the way, how about we have something new and fresh? And judging from this footage over here, I say we're going to have a very good time. time. I tend to have strong opinions about things, right? I know what I like and I know what I don't like. But this game, right, really, this trailer, it baffles me, right? Because I don't know how to feel about it. On the one hand, we have the goddamn cartoonish graphics, right? And makes it look like some generic mobile game. You know what I mean? Yeah, the graphical style here is a bad choice, alright? Because the world of Dragon Age is gritty, and I was expecting something a little bit more adult, a little bit more, you know, bloody, grimy, gory. Still, it can be colorful, right? I'm not saying it should be brown puddle water. Of all the interesting graphical style, of all the, you know, talented artists out there, why don't you hire somebody with some creativity, right? This graphical style here looks like some Disney Pixar Illumination knockoff cartoon, right? Something that they discarded because it looks so generic and bland, man. Like, why the hell are you going for this, right? Another thing that comes to mind is the Frostbite engine. Okay, in case you don't know, EA had mandated that every single game that they make will be in the Frostbite engine, which is an engine designed for FPS games, right? So you understand that that comes with a bunch of problems down the line when people actually try to make something fun and something interesting. I don't know if that mandate is still in effect, but if it is, I can imagine that it is the problem here, and that is why they chose to go with the easier to make graphical style to lower the fidelity for the Frostbite engine to work better. But I'm just throwing it out there, right? I'm just brainstorming. We're just throwing ideas in. I don't want to get sued, so allegedly, okay? It was allegedly. Take it with a grain of salt, man. Look at this. What did they do to Harding, man? God, boom! She looks like a Bogdanov brother here. God. Wait, what the hell is it? Is it a trend to make every single female character look as ugly as possible? I will talk about that later, okay? We have a section for that later, alright? I do like the freckles though, Nothing beats a redhead with a bunch of freckles on her face. And then look at this. 10 years, right? A decade, I don't know how long, but all they managed to do was piss off everybody and butchered the Canary. If you look at this, right? Look at the original design from the Canary. I'm not a Dragon Age lore nut or anything, but you know, are these guys supposed to look imposing, man? They're supposed to be the descendants of some crazy, insane gods or some races, I don't know. You know, they're supposed to look scary and dangerous, right? Look at this and tell me that they didn't just turn my guy from "Yo, what up, dog?" to "Good morning to you, sir." As usual, this is a CGI trailer and there's no gameplay, so this has as much meaning as a fart in the wind, okay? Right, so it remains to be seen, but I'm not optimistic about this. Guys, what do we think about this? What do we think about this?
Well, personally, I think this game has great potential.
Did I ask you?
You just asked.
Protector guy? Do your job, protector guy.
Alright.
God. Protector guy. Vomit green.
Actually, it's more difficult.
Alright, what do you think about it? Comments down below. Anything. I was actually intrigued by this game for a second there, before any hype that I had evacuated my body. When it turned out to be another Souls-like game, which I'm honestly less than enthusiastic about. I like a challenge here and there, but I'm no hardcore gamer, right? My days of accumulating ass sweat while grinding over a boss over and over again until I beat it is long gone, okay? I'm f***ing old! Metal Gear Solid looks solid enough. I'm glad that they don't do the blue point thing and change the entire aesthetic of the game like when they remade Demon Souls. One more thing I'm surprised about, that they didn't change the look of the boss to look like a trans person. I don't know if that's sad or not, but here we are, alright? Not that I have anything against trans people, but I just prefer to not find out that I'm the female in the relationship on the night of our marriage, okay? I haven't played the original and I have no intention of touching it, because I can't play video games on a console, okay? Because I don't have a console and because I'm poor. So looking from the trailer here, it seems to be a massive departure from the original if it had been a pure FPS. Aside from turning our conventionally attractive redhead main character into a Karen, like any video game is doing, like any video games nowadays is doing to our female characters. You know what? It reminds me of the Mirror's Edge that we didn't have because EA scrapped the shit out of the franchise and put it on ice, okay? But one thing that you should pay attention to and you should notice is that this looks deceptively CGI. It is CGI if you look at it straight, and with one of their insiders saying on Twitter that the development is very rough for this game. It is safe to say that this is another Anthem situation where they scrambled to put together a thinly disguised CGI trailer and pass it off as gameplay. Come here. Come here. Oh, honestly, you look at this and you tell me this is not CGI. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Maybe I could be right. But we all know better, don't we? One thing you should know about me is that I'm not political. Alright? I don't do politics. I'm not left wing, I'm not right wing, because it's American politics and I'm not living in America. So this video is not political. Okay? This video is not political, right? Not! This video is not political, right? It's not political, okay? It's not political. Trust me, do I look trustworthy? It's not political. With that being said, I'm sure at this point that you've noticed something. It's like every single video games nowadays has to have some ugly ass female characters. Here's a tip, woke game designer. Stop designing your characters based on what you see in your mirror. Okay? Stop it. Okay, look at it like this. A game is fantasy. I know, shocker, right? And a fantasy doesn't need to be realistic, all right? Let alone fable. The name itself states that, right? It's not real, it's not supposed to be realistic. So why are you trying to make it realistic? Why are you trying to convince us that there are no beautiful women out there in the real world? Just because your life is miserable doesn't mean everybody else have to feel the same, okay? What the hell? Go find a hobby, okay? Go to therapy, alright? Get off Twitter, Get out of the echo chamber, go touch grass, go on a date, stop consuming alcohol, stop smoking, talk to your children, alright? God damn! If I wanted to look at ugly people, I just go outside, alright? And at this point, I'm sure somebody have clipped me and then made some parasitic short to talk about some guy raging about gaming characters, right? But it is very offensive to me and is harmful to the mindset of people, okay? Let me explain to you why, right? Now, take a look at this, right? This is the woman that they used to model the face of the character herself. So look at her, right? She's beautiful. Look at that, right? And then they are telling us, they are taking the face of this woman and trying to convince us that women like these don't exist in the real world. That is just manipulative, okay? And that is disrespectful towards the model herself. Imagine what she thinks, all right? I'm sure she's happy because, she got a ton of cash. But let's think about it mentally, all right? And furthermore, I don't feel that making ugly game characters is empowering to anyone. Okay? Am I insane? Okay, stay there with me here, right? Let me explain. Look, as far as I'm concerned, just because a game character looks ugly doesn't mean the ugly person who is playing that character will feel good about themselves. Am I going crazy? And let's be serious for a moment, okay? They're saying this is supposed to be empowering for women in all around the world, right? To have these ugly game characters. They're supposed to resemble real people, right? They're supposed to resemble them. Alright? What the hell is empowering there, right? You know what's empowering? Empowering is a game with a character, whether it be male or female, that is beautiful, that is well written, that is realistic, that is well realized, so inspiring that people, whether it's male or female, whether it's young or old, can play the game and feel inspired, right? And have a role model to work towards, to improve themselves, to become better, to become another version of themselves, right? Just because you're ugly doesn't mean you have to look at ugly people to feel good about yourself, right? How about that for empowering? I just solved your problem there, right? What do you need? You need some gray matter, right? You need some actual education and some brain, okay? God damn! Okay, and feel free to disagree and throw tantrums in the comment, right? I'm sure I'll figure out some clever way to call you out in my other videos. Speaking of comment, you guys can just comment anything about any games that I'm listing here, okay? You know, just flood the comment section, alright? Just like my patrons floods me with joy. Look at this, right? Oh my god, two patrons? Yeah, baby! Hey, you! Yeah, I'm talking to you, my patrons. I appreciate the fuck out of you, okay? I appreciate it, alright? Special shout out to Oseyeres in the truly insane tier. Something big is coming to this channel, alright? Avowed. Now this is what I'm excited about. While the gameplay looks nothing special, I'm curious about the story. This is an RPG game set in the world of Pillars of Eternity, which is a very interesting world. If you play the game, you will know. The special thing about Pillars of Eternity is the concept of the soul and where it fits into a world where they are technically advanced enough to, to create machines to gather the souls from other people, alright? So it is a very interesting world, and if you play the CRPG, you know you're a watcher, and a watcher can interact with souls, right? He can talk to the souls. It's very interesting, and I'm very excited and I'm very intrigued by how they're going to explore that in this game. I don't know if you're a watcher in here, but I'm sure they'll figure something out. I just hope that it's not another Skyrim, okay? As wide as your bully's mom's vagina and 2 inches deep, which is the depth your bully can go when penetrating a female. I do have plans to make a separate video talking about this game and the way that they portrayed the ninja and samurai in this world, right? Spoiler alert, c'est à toi. Stalker 2 Serser Jornobulia. I'm sure it's common at this point that the Stalker fanbase is one of the most hardcore and dedicated of all. Seriously, true story here, right? Let me tell you, story time. I once had a friend who's not a friend anymore, right? Ex-friend, who stopped looking at me like a human being, right? And then moved to another country just to stop looking at me, alright? Because I told him that I didn't like to play a game that insta-killed me and then crashes every time I beat the mission, okay? We all know that Stalker players don't play it for the combat or the shooting. They do it for the oppressive atmosphere and gameplay mechanics that abuse you harder than P. Diddy abused that lady. So with what I'm seeing, if the game actually looks like this, which is doubtful, and retains the immersive, albeit bleak and hopeless atmosphere, then I'm sure the game will attract a whole lot of new players, all excited and testicle untwisted. Gears of War E-boys, okay. So this is a prequel, which immediately screams creatively bankrupt in my face, alright? Hear me out. This is a franchise that's one of the most long-running in the history of Xbox, and the first release being in 2006, almost 2 decades ago. This would be the 7th game in the series' main releases, not counting spin-offs like the Pop game or Gears of War Tactics. Blind cynicism aside, I don't think that I would have a shred of care for any of these characters. You know why? Because since this is a prequel, we all know that the main character, right, Marcus, Fred Durst, and his friend Dom is going to survive, okay? So unless that they introduce us to some new well-written NPCs that bear some resemblance of importance to the plot or the development of our main characters, and I don't think the gameplay alone is going to carry the entire game, at this point in the franchise, okay? Especially when you play as a sex-crazed maniac, you know, who dashes to the nearest wall when he enters a room and hump it to death. You know what I mean? So, with all that being said, with highly edited CGI trailers that provide barely any shred of gameplay, is Xbox truly saved? Well, you decide for yourself. You're asking me for it. I'm just a guy, you know, a guy who acts vaguely humanoid to infiltrate society, and a guy who will tell you the uncensored version of this video as well as extra content is on the Patreon. Subscribe and stay tuned to witness my gradual descent into insanity. If you don't, I'll go out on the street and punch a random wall.